The title of this video might be a little strange, but bear with me, I'll explain it. So, I had watched this episode of Quentin Tarantino. I'm pretty sure he was on the Joe Rogan podcast, however many years ago. And he explains this phenomenon or principle, or whatever you could say. He explains this, what happened to him when he was younger, and what essentially propelled him to start his career in film. And if you know Quentin Tarantino, you've seen his movies, he's obviously very talented. But he wasn't always somebody who was striving for greatness. And that's what I want to get into here. So just to explain, I'm going to show you a clip here in just a second of his interview. But he explains a little bit, just to give you some background. When he was working at a video store when he was younger, this guy who was a little bit older than him, kind of in a way, was crashing out. He was kind of explaining how his life had been bogged down hanging out with younger people than himself who were not going anywhere in life. They were smoking a lot of weed. They were just doing things that aren't super productive. And this guy who he's referring to reached a point in his life where he had that, like, you know, that coming to Jesus moment. If you know that term, where you look at your life and you're like, damn, like, what am I doing with my life? Who am I hanging out with? These people are going nowhere. So this guy like crashes out, tells Quentin Tarantino that he's basically a loser and he's holding him back, and this guy like leaves the video store. Fast forward, Quentin Tarantino has kind of that same experience, and that's what he talks about in this clip. So I'm going to play the clip, and I'll be right back.
4 years younger or 5 years younger than him. Anyway, I'm turning 25 around this time. So I'm having my own little, okay, well, what have I done with my life so far? So far, fucking nothing. So I'm having my own little anxiety hitting 25, but I'm seeing what it's like 5 years from now.
Yeah.
When you turn 30.
Yeah, window to the future.
When you're turn 30 and you're in this situation. And there was like one night that I had what I used to call, I would do it every once in a while. I haven't done it in a long time, thankfully. I would have a Quentin Detest Fest where I'd stay up all night long, and rather than give myself excuses, I would look at everything that I'm fucking up in my life or everything I'm not doing or whatever, and just not give myself any fucking excuses out. Just like nail it. And I would spend like all night laying out everything I'm doing that's wrong. And then I would spend the last 2 hours figuring out how I can change it.
Okay, so that clip, I think, really important. I encourage you guys to go watch the full video. But when it comes to like my life and what happened to me this year, I kind of felt myself being like Quentin Tarantino, where I hit this point where I looked at my life and I said, like, what am I doing? Where am I going? I feel like I am going backwards. And so what he's describing in that clip is basically he had given himself so many excuses for so many years about why he wasn't where he wanted to be. He was still working at that video store. He was still kind of, living that I want to say like a kid life or that college life where you're just kind of chilling with your bros, maybe right after college or a time right after, and you're just not too worried about the future. Maybe you have a job, maybe it's chill. You're just looking to party still, maybe smoke some weed, drink, and your future is not something you're too worried about. And I would say that that's because we're kind of stuck in this idea that we're still a kid or we're still super young, and the adult world is almost something that is maybe scary or something that we do not prioritize yet. And so I feel like a lot of us, and myself especially, I had that come to Jesus moment here this year where I was like, I need to change something about my life right now. And granted, maybe not everybody has that moment, but I really did a lot of introspection and thought very hard about what I wanted to be and how I was going to get there. In that clip, you hear him explain a little bit about his kind of his principle, and I'm kind of naming this video the Quentin Tarantino principles, where that one night he stopped making all the excuses he had ever made, and he essentially started writing And I guess his whole film career, he started it that night. And I think he goes on to say that he didn't even go to sleep that night. He just worked all the way through the night. And that is how he kind of started his dreams and started his path to success. If you watch some of his movies, like I said, he is an incredible director. But I think he wrote a lot of those movies, if not all of them. And he was a big part in film. And so if Quentin Tarantino would have continued to maybe smoke a lot of weed, work at that video store, he would have never realized his potential. If he had never gotten uncomfortable with being comfortable, he would have stayed comfortable. There's me getting really philosophical for you. I hope that makes sense. But he got uncomfortable with just being a worker at a video store. And where I'm going with all this is, this really hit home for me. Like earlier this year, I looked around, it finally hit me. Like, my life kind of revolved around a job that I didn't see a future in. Coming home after work, I wasn't working out at the time. I was maybe drinking too much. I would just come home, lay on the couch, and then play video games. And so where I found myself is I was like, this is not heading towards a direction that I want it to. It finally hit me that if I want to pursue something meaningful in life, and if I want to, I guess, pursue my dreams, quote unquote, right, then I have to work on the steps to get there. And that's really step one, is just discovering that you may need to change something in your life, right? And whether it's doing what Quentin Tarantino did, which is literally like starting tonight, writing down a game plan of what you need to do to get to where you're trying to go. Or it could be, I don't even know where I'm trying to go right now. Maybe I can create that game plan right now. Because I think a lot of us, we're kind of just wondering. And we don't really know what we want to be when we grow up. I'm kind of still in that same boat to a certain degree. But I think kind of figuring out is essentially what you want to be when you grow up, and a game plan to get there is really the core of kind of his principle that he talks about. And ultimately, I kind of went through that this year. And I was kind of like, you know what? My life sucks, kind of. I want it to be better. What are the steps that I can change to get better? So my couple steps that I changed in my life was essentially, I started working out again. I stopped drinking, and I started pursuing meaningful things. I wasn't just sitting on the couch all night. I was working on side projects. I started this YouTube channel, for example. I started creating and trying to expand my skill set in my job, but also outside of my job. And not only has that worked wonders for my life, and while this year still hasn't been perfect, I can say that I have made an insane amount of growth. And I have come so far this year. So I want to wrap this video up where, if you are finding yourself at a place in a moment in time where you are not super excited, you're not excited to be there, you don't necessarily know where your life is headed, I challenge you to take that first step. Whether it's do what Quentin did and just go all in on your dreams, or if you don't quite know what those dreams are, start today and just write down or kind of brainstorm these things that you want to change in your life and maybe where you want to be in the next 5 to 10 years. And so while those things may change over time, I think just writing those down and starting that path towards a better future is something that could never hurt you and never will. So anyway, guys, I hope this made sense. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will talk to you guys soon. Peace.